loved ones, all thanks to the internet and SMS. But a majority of Filipinos in the country still do not have access to the internet and the opportunities it offers. That's one thing a group of concerned Filipinos hope to change. Through the Global Filipino Nation conference, Filipinos from around the world will meet to draft action plans on various issues, including using the internet as a leverage to empower global Filipinos who want to help and give back to the country. They believe that through information technology, Filipinos can come together and make a difference.
Joining us today to tell us more about how information technology can empower global Filipinos is Mr. Jojo Guingao, President and CEO of Pacific Data Resources from San Francisco.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, Jojo.
Thank you for joining us. All right, we were talking about, we've actually discussed the Global Filipino movement a couple of times already, and we will continue to be talking about it as we are one of the media partners of this convention. And specifically right now, we want to talk about how you guys communicate. And
That's correct.
One thing that was very interesting from the beginning, that you actually not just got the Filipino Americans involved, or the Filipinos based in the U.S. involved, but even Pinoys all over the world.
Absolutely.
And is there a specific framework or specific method that you guys wanted to really use to make sure you got in touch the right way?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, any associations like the Global Filipino Nations can only be as effective based on the number of people that would like to be part of it. We're targeting overseas Filipinos, not just the U.S., but all the way from Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, and European countries. And the only way that we can do that and get them involved, get connected, is via the internet.
Go ahead.
And in fact, in our upcoming conference next week,
Yes.
we're going to be bringing in a lot of IT professionals all around the world and get them involved and be part of the initiative and really make a difference in our own little way.
And when we talked to your representatives, the past two interviews, they were saying that the GFN, this conference coming May 8 to 11, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is going to be expected to be the biggest gathering of Filipinos, with more than 10,000 people joining the conference through internet.
That's correct. It's a very aggressive goal of really bringing Filipinos overseas. It's projected to be the largest assembly of Filipinos that all believe in making a difference and hopefully making some change and providing effective governance in the Philippines.
What do you think would be the dynamics involved in making a significant impact with the people who would be viewing the happenings online? I mean, of course, there will be those who will be there with you on ground in the convention, but there will be those who will be watching it online, probably live, or probably after the event. But what do you think, how important do you think would be the construction of the site, at least on the internet, and what form of interactivity they can do to keep them really engaged in what you want to push for?
I mean, in terms of providing this information via the web, it is pretty important that the site is, very accessible. It has to be very simple because the level of knowledge of people, they don't have to be IT professionals to access the web. So it has to be accessible and very simple to access. And the content has to be relevant as well. And I think that's the most important one. And our goal is to be able to get them connected, collaborate, and enable them to really be part of the Global Filipino initiatives.
I want to ask about access. If we're going to tap the OFWs, how many of them can actually have access to the internet so they can participate in the Global Filipino Nation?
That's right. I mean, I think initially it's not going to be enough, but that's part of our goal, is to be able to provide a medium wherein it will be accessible for them, whether they access that via the web or they communicate through text messaging or other communication tools. There are a lot of ways out there now that we can leverage and really help bring Filipinos and start collaborating on a worldwide basis.
What about, sir, the language of communication? I mean, granted that the Filipinos in the U.S. and probably in Europe are very comfortable speaking in English, but there may not be as big of a number of English-speaking Filipinos, let's say, in Asia and in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, our target is not purely overseas Filipinos. I mean, our goal is to be able to make a difference from economic, political, and social initiatives and bring that here in the Philippines. I mean, our goal is to bring overseas Filipinos, their friends, their families here in the Philippines to really be part of this initiative. And there's a social networking site in it. I mean, it's not really restricted to just pure English. They can communicate, they can chat from people all over the world in a language that they're comfortable with. So, I mean, it's not limited to pure, I mean, to just English. I mean, I mean, they can communicate to whatever language that they prefer or dialects.
But is it just going to be limited to communication? The role of IT in this conference and its advocacy of better governance, is IT going to be just limited to communication or in a lot of other activities?
No, I mean, IT is just the first step. I mean, we look at IT as an enabler. You look at IT as an agent for change. And we look at IT as a tool that will help push a lot of the economic and social issues that the global Filipino nations will work on. I mean, our goal initially is to simply connect. Once we're connected,
That's one.
we're going to encourage them to collaborate. Once we're collaborating now, we're going to start working on social and political issues. And the third thing too is educate. I mean, I think internet in particular is a very powerful tool to educate peoples around the world. I mean, just imagine IT professionals or even medical professionals sharing their expertise worldwide and conduct some sort of an e-learning seminar. I mean, just imagine a possibility of using the portal as a tool to create jobs and empowering and providing a tool to Filipinos overseas to let them know that there is a job opportunity in Australia, in the US, or even in Europe. I mean, really a lot of possibilities once you're connected.
I'm already imagining that when you put up this site, or is it already up?
It will be presented next week for the architecture, and hopefully it will be up this year.
All right, I'm already imagining that when this site is up and it's one main site for the Global Filipino Network, I can imagine the traffic going to be getting
Oh, absolutely.
all over the world. And this is no joke. You guys could make some pretty good money with the amount of hits that you'll be getting, for sure. But where would you be funneling the funds, and what would you think the funds would be able to help the movement do in the future?
I mean, Global Filipino Nation is a very aggressive mission and vision, and that includes creating jobs, improving the economic conditions of the Filipinos. It also includes a lot of social initiatives that they're working on, such as helping overseas Filipinos protect their rights and make sure that they have a support systems when something goes wrong while they're working. A lot of these initiatives will be funded by either contributions from people that are part of Global Filipino Nations, and that could be a possibility too, is turning the portal as a sort of turn it into a financial model.
How is it going to look like, the portal that you're going to be putting up?
For sure.
What's going to be in there?
Yeah, for sure. It has to be very easy. It has to be a source of information which is relevant for overseas Filipinos. It has to facilitate making things easier to communicate and get services. It has to be a platform as well wherein Filipinos all over the world can share their knowledge and share their information that where they're based at. And I mean, it has to be relevant for everybody.
And will this have some sort of a message board or discussion
Absolutely,
forum
yeah.
where people can, start new threads, new topics about whatever they want to talk about?
That's the whole idea. It will have a very powerful social networking site wherein people can use the blogs, can chat, and
Can
the
you
bottom
upload
line
videos
is,
there?
I'm sure we can upload videos. Yeah, it's just technology. We can do anything about technology. But the idea there is to really encourage people to communicate and collaborate with other Filipinos overseas. I mean, think about lawyers collaborating on social issues. I mean, you can have, I'm pretty sure the successful lawyers from the U.S. or the Europe could be collaborating on possible migrant issues, and that's really powerful stuff.
Right. All right, a very amazing and exciting things on the verge there for the IT segment of the Global Filipino Nations tour, and it's starting on May 8th?
It's going to be on May 8th, starting May 8th up to the 11th, is that correct?
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. So I would encourage everyone to really get involved and participate and be part of a Global Filipino Nations who believe in effective governance. So join us at the University of Makati next week.
All right. Mr. Jojo Guingao, President and CEO of Pacific Data Resources. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Up next, we get an update on the stock market from Mikey.
Plus details about a brewing fight for control of Meralco.
All that and more in Mornings at ANC returns.